not connected to anything. No, but you wanna stop any type of Bluetooth connection. So I feel like you should turn off your Bluetooth on your phone. Yeah, because otherwise it's gonna be connected to the Bluetooth on your phone. Yeah, for just don't connect it. There we go. No Bluetooth, no Bluetooth. we go. Yay. Hey guys, welcome to the live. My name is Efen Rodriguez, and this is the Gangstalking Playbook. In this channel, we talk about gangstalking, manipulation, narcissism, dark psychology, amongst many other subjects. I have been harassed by gangstalkers, and this channel pretty much is a help to other people that have been harassed in a that have been gangstalked. We are meant, the channel is meant to help people understand what gangstalking is about and how these people actually brainwash the targets to make them believe that absolutely everyone around them is against them. In this video, in this live, we're going to be covering brainwashing and its mechanics. The first video that we are going to cover is a TED Talk that was done 3 years ago by Stephen Hassan, and we're going to see a story, and this has to do with cults, with psychology, and most importantly, brainwashing. We're going to be discussing what this is about, and we are also going to be discussing how these brainwashing tactics are actually being used on victims of gangstalking. And we are going to start checking this out. So we are here, guys, and this is the video that we're going to be watching. Let's get this party started again. I'm afraid we have to watch the freaking ads, but oh well.
And for those of you who are too young to know about the Moonies, he's best known for the mass wedding ceremonies. He did 30,000
Okay, I'm going to start this from the beginning.
A total.
Let's start with this from the beginning. This should be fun. This should be good.
Tell if your mind has been brainwashed, or your mind has been hacked, or you've been subjected to mind control, or hypnosis, or undue influence.
Isn't it crazy that he already starts with hypnosis and undue influence? That's the one thing about getting gangstalked, is that all of the brainwashing happens and you really don't even realize it that is happening to you. So if that's one of the things, is that if once you know that someone is trying to brainwash you, there really isn't a way for you to find out, which is the craziest thing. Okay, so we're going to continue.
The people who want to persuade want you to stay.
Oh.
The authoritarian cults, that including Putin, who grew up in the Soviet Union, which was a political cult, and I'm happy to talk about that.
It's crazy.
The psychology of influence has morphed in the decades, and I'm here to share with you. It was 1974, February. My girlfriend dumped me. I was an upper junior at Queens College, the youngest of 3 kids, of Milton and Estelle Hassan of Flushing, Queens, New York. Yes, I grew up 1.3 miles
in
from
New York. Hey.
Cult 45, DT.
Did he say Cult 45?
And these women approached me in the student union and deceptively recruited me into a friend group of this turned out to be a cult. And within 2 weeks, I was believing that World War III was about to happen, that Armageddon was coming, that Moon was the greatest man in human history. He was sinless.
Notice that all of this brainwashing happened and he had no idea that it was actually happening to him. Notice how his most foundational beliefs of his own existence from his entire life literally just happened out of the blue without him noticing. Just pay attention to this, because brainwashing is something super insidious, that you are just living your life, hanging out with people, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you believe that there's going to be a new freaking Armageddon. You know, it's insane.
And for those of you who are too young to know about the Moonies, he's best known
The
for the
Moonies.
mass wedding ceremonies. He did 30,000 couples at one time of total strangers, but who believed in him as the Messiah.
Notice that people allowed some dude to marry them. And these people were total strangers, and he was supposed to be the Messiah. Look at how crazy brainwashing can actually. Look at all the actions that brainwashing can make people do. You know, it's really insane. Not in a million years anyone would marry any complete stranger. However, this man literally saw thousands of people being married that were complete strangers to each other. That's insane, guys.
And within 2 weeks, I left my Judaism and I'm bowing to an altar with Moon's picture on it, reciting a pledge to fight with my life or kill for Korea.
That's insane. For Korea, guys. And the guy's not even Korean. Imagine. That's insane AF, dude. That's super cray cray. Okay, and okay, add, you need to finish.
Elevated to leadership very quickly. I guess they saw me as a nice American, tall, whatever. And so I was privy to these secret leadership meetings with Moon about how he talked about democracy was satanic. He talked about taking over America and amending the Constitution and make it a capital of.
That's freaking insane, guys. That's insane as hell, dude.
For people who don't do what he says regarding the marriages. And I was a fanatic. My family freaked. My friends freaked. Steve, it's a cult. You're being brainwashed. I knew I wasn't brainwashed because I'm smart.
Oh, hello. Don't we all believe that we're smart as hell? That's exactly how they get you. That's exactly how they get you. They keep telling you, "Oh my god, you're so smart," while they're brainwashing you so that you don't get defensive.
I'm educated. I'm from a good family. I didn't feel brainwashed. I was having a religious experience.
So, Chap, hey, welcome to the chat, Chap. Welcome to the live chat. I'm so glad you're here. So he's saying it can be subtle, using messaging slowly over time, grooming you psychologically. They use a binary word view, and they give you simple answers to very complex questions. That's very true. Great insight.
And guess what? When Moon said we're all going to the Capitol steps to fast for 3 days for Nixon because God wants him to be president despite Watergate, and I called my father, who had voted for Nixon. I voted for McGovern. I said, "Hey, Dad, I'm fasting for Richard Nixon to be president," thinking he would love it. He said, "Steve, you are right. He's a crook."
Oh my
I
god.
said, "Dad, you don't understand. God is working." He said, "Steve, now I know you're brainwashed." And my father got his chance. Within 2 years, I fell asleep at the wheel of a van due to sleep exhaustion. I should say I was sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night, 7 days.
Notice that this has a lot of common with gang stalking. Sleeping as less as possible. Sleeping as less as possible will make you more susceptible to brainwashing and manipulation. That's something really, really important that a lot of people really don't talk about. Is that lack of sleep will actually make you more susceptible to brainwashing.
Days a week for no pay, working for father. And I fell asleep at the wheel of a van, drove into the back of a tractor trailer truck at 80 miles an hour, and nearly died. I was trapped
Oh my
for 30
God.
minutes while the rescue workers saved my life.
That's
And
insane.
there I was in a hospital for 2 weeks away from the cult. And by the way, this was 1976, so there were no cell phones. Right? So I was away from the constant indoctrination. And
Notice that he says that there was a constant indoctrination. So it's the same thing with gang stalking. It is, you are constantly, people are actively imposing this fake narrative that you are a target, you are a targeted individual, and then you go online and then you go and check out gang stalking content, and it's all about being a targeted individual and a chosen one, and all that. Like, all of that in the end ends up working against you, which is the craziest thing ever. So the best way to actually unindoctrinate yourself is to think of something that has nothing to do with what you feel that you are getting brainwashed by. In this case, gang stalking. The good thing about gang stalking is that when you are getting gang stalked, you actually know that you are being gang stalked.
I called my sister. I actually broke a rule. I called my sister Thea, and she said, "You have a nephew. I want him to know his Uncle Stevie. You got to visit." I'm like, "Don't tell the parents. I think I can arrange it because I'm a leader." And she did tell my parents, and they arranged the deprogramming. And it's a long story, but my father cried, and he said, "How would you feel if it was your son who met a controversial group, dropped out of college, quit his job, donated his bank account, and disappeared from your life? How would you feel?" And he cried. And
That's
it got me
insane.
right here.
Yeah.
He said, "I'd probably do what you're doing now." But I thought he was brainwashed by the communist media.
That's so crazy.
That's how I was indoctrinated. So I said, "I'd probably be doing what do you want me to do?" He said, "Just listen to these ex-members, learn about brainwashing and mind control, and if you want to go back at the end of 5 days, I'll drive you there myself."
Wow.
I said, "Done." Because I was so fanatical. I was so confident that I had the truth.
That is such a good way of doing it. So the same thing happened with me and my gang stalking experience. That when, as soon as I left for long enough, my mind began coming out to normal, and then that's when I understood everything. But it took me leaving. It took me leaving town. It literally took me leaving town for me to understand it. Because if you're getting targeted, you are constantly feeling like you constantly feel surrounded by these people. The hell? Why is it not playing?
And little did I know, on day 4, when I learned about Chinese communist brainwashing from former military intelligence people who had studied it in the 50s, it ticked off every box. But wait a minute, we were God and communism was Satan, but it was the same brainwashing techniques. But that still wasn't enough to get me out. The following day, the deprogrammers asked me to read one of Moon's speeches.
The
and said, "What do you
deprogrammers?
think, Steve?"
With Adobe Express, I can make a social post.
The deprogrammers, guys. That was actually
a
like
video, a
the
presentation.
deprogrammers.
Adobe Express.
That's insane. They were actually deprogrammers. Like, people actually had to deprogram him. Same thing with gang stalking. You know, when you go online and you talk about gang stalking, everyone keeps talking about directed energy weapons. It's like when you even go on the internet. So the internet is even worse, because up until recently there has been no true answer to gang stalking. And people were actually brainwashed by the internet that directed energy weapons are real. Notice that there's a bunch of people saying gang stalking, directed energy weapons. They're harassing you. They're doing this. You can see that on all types of content that talks about gang stalking. It's the most insane thing ever. It really, really, really is.
I had a negative thought. I thought, what a liar. Moon was talking to congressmen and senators saying how much he loved America and respected Americans, and he was surprised that he was being accused of brainwashing Americans. And I had heard him speak in...
Chopper saying, they're watching me online and give me clues. They are very sophisticated hackers that can change the algorithms of my streams and info being presented. They're contacted that are connected. So, you know, Chap, I know it feels like that. You know, I'm gonna tell you a story. When I was targeted, you know, there was a point where I felt like they wanted me they wanted to well, they wanted to, they actually, I didn't think they wanted to pin me as a pedophile because there was a kid that it was my personal training client. There was a there was a so there was a customer, a personal training client, who was this young kid, right? And then what happened was that this kid began telling me, hey, why don't you join Pokemon Go with me? And then that was one. Another time, the kid literally grabbed my hand. The kid grabbed my hand. And I looked around because I pulled my hand away, and then I looked around, and then I saw a bunch of people looking. And then the kid began grabbing his junk. A lot. So then I was like, okay, this is crazy. They want to pit me as a pedophile. So then after that, I even didn't want to look at kids. I actually became more paranoid about that. So then what happened after that is that all of a sudden, like when that happened, I was on Instagram, and then there was a picture of a little kid opening his mouth like this. And then an adult from a high view was giving him whipped cream. And my phone got stuck on the same on that video, and it just got stuck, and it kept replaying, and it froze. And then that's when I felt like, oh my god, gang stalkers are literally hacking my phone so that this repeats, so that this because it felt like the video just felt like it had a sexual connotation. And it just literally felt like gang stalkers were actively trying to put all these ideas of pedophilia into my mind. So then, when that happened, I believed that they were hacking my phone, because what was happening around me with the kid and everything, I feel like they had access to my phone, and that they were trying to impose these ideas in your mind. And it feels like this idea was just, the video kept replaying in my mind, and it was like an intrusive thought. When you have an intrusive thought, and the intrusive thought, like, it doesn't leave. It just kept replaying in my mind, because I looked at it and the video was replaying, and I felt like they were attacking my mind. And it felt like they had controlled my algorithm, that they controlled my phone, and that through their hacking, they were doing everything possible to impose these ideas of pedophilia into my mind. But later on with time, as I began unwinding myself from the gang stalking narrative, I began to see the truth, that it was just a hiccup of technology. Hiccups of technology happens. And that's just how it felt. And I remember that when this was happening, I was part, and then a woman, I was literally going like this because I couldn't take the idea out of my head. And a woman in a truck was parked, pointing at me and laughing. It was so insane, dude. But let me tell you, there's no hackers in gang stalking. It just feels like it. It feels like it, but no. It's all psychological. Just know that.
Person at least 100 times. How stupid Americans were, right? But once I had that thought, he's a liar. That means he's not trustworthy. That means he can't be of God. And it was like a house of cards going plop, 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 plop in my mind. And I cried for 3 hours. And here I am, 45 years later, trying to share my experience with the planet, because everyone needs to understand this is not a mystical thing.
Yeah, it's true.
You've heard of MK Ultra, the CIA research into mind control? The Russians were doing it. There was a cold...
How perfect is this? Guys, how perfect it is. How perfect is this whole thing? People are talking about mind control, MK Ultra, and this TED Talk is just like, boop. It's like magical. This is exactly what we were looking for, guys. This is hysterical. Let's keep going. Let's keep watching. This is getting super good already.
War run-up, I was MK Ultra 3.0. I would have died on command, killed on command.
That's crazy.
And thank God my family rescued me. So I'm here to tell you there's a dual identity that happens. There was Steve Hassan of Flushing, Queens, and then Steve Hassan, the son of Moon and his wife, the true parents of the universe.
Wow.
The real Steve reacted to my father's tears. And now I want to tell a fast story. I know I'm running out of time.
Oh, sure.
Fast story. My father called me up when I was in the cult, thinking.
So when you are targeted, one thing that is super interesting about gang stalking is that you feel your consciousness being stuck, and then the mind and the ideas surround your consciousness. It's like it's the insane main brain, and you're insane because insane in the main brain. You know what I mean? so like you're right here, and then you have all the thoughts of gang stalking covering your mind. It literally feels like that. It feels like this is your mind, like this is your consciousness, and then all the thoughts of gang stalking are not allowing you to think clearly. Literally, gang stalking doesn't allow you to use your mind properly. It's the craziest thing.
That he could get me out by just giving me facts. Sounds familiar? He said, Steve, what kind of messiah has an M16 gun factory? Little did he know,
That's funny.
I was trained to do thought stopping, which is a cognitive
What?
behavioral technique.
Thought stopping. Okay, so I hope gang stalkers stay down, because if they learn about thought stopping, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't even know what's that. I've never even heard about that. Let's see what's thought stopping, so I can include this in my anti-gang stalking campaign.
Crush Satan, glory to heaven, peace on earth, glory to heaven, peace on earth, crush Satan, crush Satan. So my father's intention was to get me to think, but he drove me deeper in.
Okay, what? I totally interrupted it by talking. I'm sorry. Let's see a little bit more. Okay, let's go. Thought stopping.
To do thought stopping, which is.
I feel like I have demand avoidance. If they tell me to do something, I don't know what to say. Or I feel like I have demand avoidance. If they tell me to do something, I don't know what to say or do, and get stuck. Can you please elaborate?
It's a cognitive behavioral technique. I was crush Satan, glory to heaven, peace on earth, glory to heaven, peace on earth.
So this is exactly what I was doing. Is that whenever I was seeing the gang stalking signals, I would start saying affirmations. This is so funny. This is exactly what I was doing.
There's a dual identity that happens. There was Steve Hassan of Flushing, Queens, and then Steve Hassan, the son of Moon and his wife, the true parents of the universe. The real Steve reacted to my father's tears.
Listen.
And now I want to tell a fast story. I know I'm running out of time. Fast story. My father called me up when I was in the cult, thinking that he could get me out by just giving me facts. Sounds familiar? He said, Steve, what kind of messiah has an M16 gun factory?
Mm-hmm.
Little did he know, I was trained to do thought stopping, which is a cognitive behavioral technique. I was crush Satan, glory to heaven, peace on earth, glory to heaven, peace on earth, crush Satan.
Thought stopping, cognitive behavior. Let me write that down. We're gonna check that out next. So what is thought stopping and cognitive behavior technique? Let's see. We have to do this on the live. Maybe we might have to do it. So thought stopping. I didn't even know that it had a name. Thought stopping. Cognitive behavior technique. This is so interesting already. Oh my god, dude.
Impressive. So my father's intention was to get me to think, but he drove me deeper in. And I have a little party prop that I want to share. It's actually called Chinese handcuffs. You ever seen this?
Yes.
The harder you pull, the tighter it gets.
Mm-hmm.
But you explain to the person, you know, you can get out of it by just putting your fingers together, using your thumbs to push, and voila. So what I'm here to share in my remaining time is a reality testing strategy. It's
Oh.
remarkably simple, and it's based on
Okay, what the hell is a reality testing strategy? Let's see. We're gonna find that out, but I'm just writing notes because this is actually really good material. Reality testing strategy.
my doctoral dissertation on the bite model of authoritarian control and my influence continuum.
Even though our plan
No!
evolved here and there.
How do you dare? How do you dare interrupt my stream commercial? As soon as the commercial is over, we're gonna move on to the next one. Okay, so pause. Let me pause you there. And what is Shop saying? So Shop is saying, yes, in relation to what he is talking about, how they try to create your reality. And a new identity for you. Wherever I've gone through things like that, I do not automatically integrate. Every time I do something, I don't know what to say. It's what he's talking about. How they try to create a reality and a new identity for you. Yeah, so in gangstalking, when the reality that they push into you, it's slowly pushed onto you until you believe it. Like I literally believed. Like I literally believed that there was something going on. It was blocked? Like is the stream playing fine, guys? Because it's not. Oh, it blocked a little bit. Okay. So, can you see me? The stream was getting blocked. Because of copyright. Oh, well, I'm not going to be able to monetize this, but it's fine. We're just going to freaking have to watch it. Yeah, no, it's weird, but... Oh, well, so let's keep watching it. We're already here.
Phones and people
Yeah.
who are in mind control cults are constantly being reinforced.
So, did you notice that it's about constantly being reinforced?
Challenging anyone who's listening to this, if you're sure you weren't brainwashed like I was, take a time out. Turn off your phone, turn off your screens for a week. Okay? Step one.
Turn off your phone and turn on your screen for a week. Or turn off your phone and turn off your screen for a week. So, it's the same thing. It's the same thing like when gang stalking, like when I was getting targeted, I began reading. And when I began reading, the actual gang stalking began diminishing. The whole gang stalking idea, the whole gang stalking stops if you stop engaging with people that are pushing this narrative. So if you are targeted, you have to stay away from people that are continuously trying to push the gang stalking narrative. And finding out who actually and how it's being pushed on you, it's the hardest thing. That's exactly why I tell people that are being targeted to pretty much stay away from places where you are easily accessible. So chat, was the stream too long down or a little bit?
Learn about Chinese communist brainwashing and the major models. And I'm here to tell you that I did for my doctoral program the first quantitative study on the BITE model of authoritarian control.
So the internet is a great way for them to broadcast to broadcast info to you that they want you to hear. Also a good way to show you. Yeah, so one thing that you guys have to understand is that when a lot of people are pushing the narrative that targets are being harassed with directed energy weapons, it's insane. Like, notice that the internet is filled with these things. So believe it or not, guys, everyone that is getting gang stalked is literally being brainwashed. You guys can see it on all the gang stalking content. All the gang stalking content has hundreds of people pushing directed energy weapons are real. Directed energy weapons are real. So that is meant to brainwash you. Just know that is meant to brainwash you. It's insane. No.
And the B is behavior control, the I is information control, the T is thought control, and the E is emotional control.
Okay, what? Hang on. Influence, behavior, information, thoughts, emotions. So as long as you keep applying all of these things, so behavior, so you have to behave in a way that is genuinely you. The information that you consume is information. You have to keep consuming information that you used to consume before getting gang stalked. Thoughts, your thoughts have to be out of the gang stalking narrative, and your emotions have to be about gang stalking. You have to get them out. You have to.
The B is behavior control, the I is information control, the T is thought control, and the E is emotional control. And the model basically says you have to think about an ethical influence side of informed consent, for example, where you know up front.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. Let's see. What do you mean, fool?
Who the people are, what they believe, and what is expected, versus deception, outright lying, withholding vital information, or distorting it.
So notice that gang stalking distorts information and withholds the truth.
And I have a much more robust influence continuum, but for simplicity's sake, I want to tell you that cognitive dissonance theory, which is from Leon Festinger.
Okay, no, so hang on. So cognitive dissonance theory, that's new also. Hang on. So for cognitive dissonance theory. Reality testing, cognitive dissonance theory, and thought stopping. Cognitive
formed the basis of this. I added information control, but I have detailed behaviors that can show authoritarian control.
The cognitive behavior square. Your thoughts influence your emotions, which influence your behavior. So that's good. So Chad is saying, Chad, I'm super glad you're here. You're smart as hell. And I really appreciate your input. What is that square doing now? And Chap is saying it's cognitive behavior square. Your thoughts influence your emotions, which influence your behavior. So if you're getting targeted, the first thing that you have to take care of is literally controlling what you're thinking about. And when you are targeted, you pretty much feel like, how do you say, you feel like these people are doing things continuously to control your emotions. So notice that when you're getting gang stalked, there's people that are harassing you. It feels like they're harassing you to make you upset all the time, and there's where the emotions start.
control in a relationship, in a multi-level marketing group, a political situation, a religious group of any type. And the next step is seek out deliberately the best critics and former and
Chap says, got your thoughts, for real.
most high-level former members you can find. Why? Because if you're in a mind control cult, you're programmed. Don't listen to the media. Media is the enemy of the people. Don't talk to apostates. They don't know anything.
That's the toughest thing about gang stalking is that when you go out for help, the help that you're supposed to get pushes the wrong narrative, which is the craziest thing. That's why it's so hard to get out of gang stalking, because everyone that you go out to get to help you is literally imposing on you the narrative. Oh, direct your energy weapons. Oh yeah, and the people that you care about. You know, it's something so pervasive that it's almost impossible to get out of.
Take the position, hey, I'm an adult. It's my mind, and I get to decide.
Yeah.
I can look at the evidence and think for myself, and it's a version of this, encouraging people to think for themselves as opposed to yelling at them, calling names, and listen.
For real. So it's hard to think for yourself when you have a bunch of people trying to push the same narrative on you. You know what I mean? It's just like really difficult when like someone is just pushing the narrative. We're watching you. You're an awful person. You're awful. You're easy. You know, you open your legs too easy. You know what I mean?
For the facts. Next is honest self-reflection.
With Adobe Express,
That's the hard thing, is the honest self-reflection. Like if you're getting targeted, you know, especially if you have been targeted for super long, and it's hard to think honestly to yourself because you have been brainwashed that you know that there's something wrong, but you just simply cannot put your finger on it.
Exposure to the group, and for those of you born into authoritarian families or religious groups, is a special variation of this for you, or if you were born in North Korea or China, it's a little bit different. But honest self-reflection, for me, I had to think back. I was writing poetry. I wanted to teach English, right?
Hey, I wanted to teach English too.
I wasn't interested in money. I wasn't interested in power. And Moon was, the higher I got up in the cult, I was like being told things like, hey, Steve, you should think what country you want to run when we take over the world.
Wow, that's crazy. And you know, when you're getting targeted, it's like, you know, there's one thing that gang stalkers do that when you're hanging out, like every time a person comes by, you just are so sure that person is a gang stalker. And like you simply cannot stop thinking about gang stalking because, you know, the hand wave makes you think about gang stalking. The gang stalking grin makes you think about gang stalking. A headlight makes you think about gang stalking. Everything around you literally makes you think about gang stalking. So you have to literally guard your thoughts. Incredible, like hard.
I was 21 years old. But that was my Mooney self, not the real Steve. Honestly self-reflect, using the bite model, thinking over key experiences, and then ask yourself,
thinking over key experiences. This is interesting. The what model?
Experiences. And then ask yourself, if I knew then what I...
Let me see, which model was he talking about?
English, right? And I wasn't interested in money. I wasn't interested in power. And Moon was, the higher I got up in the cult, I was like being told things like, hey, Steve, you should think what country you want to run when we take over the world. I was 21 years old. But that was my Mooney self, not the real Steve. Honestly self-reflect, using the bite model.
The bite model. This is interesting. The bite model. This is fascinating.
thinking over key experiences, and then ask yourself, if I knew then what I know now, would I have ever gotten involved?
Mm.
The women.
Oh no. Is it blocked? Continually blocked? It's not okay. So we're good. Okay, so the stream has been blocked. So we're gonna have to keep watching others. So look, so let me show you this with me. So here, I got a website that says this thing about how not to get that, how to not allow this to happen to me. So this is new. So I actually, in such a situation, you may want to prevent content for creating videos at certain tables. For example, movie studio might not be going to. So content ID doesn't claim videos on channels linked to your content manager. You can add these channels to your allow list. You can't. Individual assets cannot be added to your channels or your allow list. You can add one or more channels to your allow list, accept them from content claims. I don't know what. So I'm actually gonna have to invest a little bit of time on learning about this. So I'm gonna check that out later. So we're gonna check other videos about brainwashing them, because we're just almost done though. We're like literally almost done. So I'm just gonna look for more. We're just gonna be done with that part, because that part is actually being tough. So we're gonna chat. We're gonna talk about what this person was actually covering in the video, and one of them was thought stop cognitive. So it was thought stopping cognitive behavior therapy. This is interesting. So we're gonna check this out. So I don't know what this is. I don't know what thought stopping is. I never heard about thought stopping. Let's see. Because I don't know. I never heard about this.
Are you ready to stop guessing in this?
Like, I never even heard about thought stopping. I don't know what it is. So we're gonna check it out.
Subscribers in one channel to a couple million subscribers. I've really.
Welcome to this video on thought stopping. This is another video in the Cognitive Behavioral Therapy Nugget series. I'm your host, Dr. Donnelly Snipes.
So Chap is saying, black and white thinking is a tendency in extremes. This is, you have to provide a link, okay? This is what we base cognitive behavioral therapy on. Black and white thinking is the tendency to think in extremes. I am a brilliant success, or I am an failure. My boyfriend is an angel, or he's a devil. Okay, cool. You're being so helpful. Thank you, Chap. Thank you so much. And this is so interesting. So it's only 7 minutes, so we'll check it out.
Sometimes our brain goes in multiple directions that we don't want, and people call this monkey mind.
Huh.
What we're going to talk about is one aspect of taming that monkey mind, stopping some of those intrusive and unwanted thoughts. Thought stopping helps you redirect your brain. Maybe you're
So Chap is saying, black and white thinking is a tendency to think in extreme. Okay, gang stalkers, you say dichotomy, they are a hero and you're a villain. This is fascinating. Honestly, I do not know what a dichotomy is. Let's see. A division or contrast between two things that are or are presenting as being opposed. Okay, so like opposing. Okay, so I am a brilliant success. Okay, I see what you mean. The economy. They are a hero, and you're a villain. They are brainwashed. Yeah. They see you as a villain, or someone to be mocked. I feel more than a villain. The villain. I feel that gang stalkers pretty much see targets as someone to be mocked, as someone as you're weak and they're strong. To be honest.
sitting there doing something at work and your mind wanders to something you're worried about. All right. Well, in order to tame that monkey mind, you don't want to continue thinking about that thing. You want to tell yourself, no, I'm going to focus on what's going on in the present moment. So how do you do that? Well, first thing you do is exactly that. Tell yourself, no, I'm not going to think about that right now.
So
replace the thought with something else. You can replace.
Same thing with gang stalking. We replace the thoughts with something else. So here, check this out. It says sometimes our brain goes in the directions we do not want. That's like, what are those thoughts called? Those thoughts that you don't want, intrusive thoughts. And then it says here, thought stopping helps us redirect our brain. Thought stopping help us redirect. So it's like you have to redirect. You have to actively redirect your brain to another narrative that is not gang stalking, because thinking about gang stalking is literally going to keep you busy thinking about it. And now tell your brain, tell no, I am not going to think about that right now. Like whenever I would see like a hand wave, like the hand signal, or a gang stalking related facial expression, I would immediately tell myself, I would say affirmations every time I would see a gang stalking, I guess, manifestation. I would think of something else as a response to the gang stalking cues, which worked wonderfully for me.
It with a mantra. Maybe you're worried about getting some test results back, or you're worried about a loved one, and your mind keeps going there. Tell yourself, no, I'm not going to think about that right now, and then say some sort of mantra or prayer, like, the serenity prayer is my go-to. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
So this is a great tool for intrusive thoughts and rumination. Gang stalkers can force the issue by constantly feeding you the info they want you to hear. So, yeah, it's insane.
Or, a few Hail Marys. Whatever works for you.
A few Hail Marys.
Occupy your mind so that thought can come back and it can knock on the door, but you're not letting it in.
Yeah.
A mantra, a prayer. Some people will pick
affirmations like a mantra. Yeah, that worked for me.
Think about that right now. I'm going to start reading this book so I can focus on that.
The craziest thing is that reading literally just took out all of the gang stalking thoughts out of my mind. Like, I remember that one time I was at the gym and I literally just began reading. I was reading a book on brainwashing, and it cleared everything up. So if you are a targeted individual and anytime you are actually harassed by gang stalkers, say affirmations, or if you can't, read. It helps calm the mind. It keeps the reins on your mind.
Or sometimes you just return your attention to whatever you're doing in the moment. So let's see, one of the problems that can arise
because we are so complex, is that those thoughts can be linked to traumatic event that they keep re-traumatizing you. Or yeah, no, it's insane. It's hard to get out of, but the thing is that it goes away with time. It actually goes away with time. However, the initial effort to not think about anything gang stalking related, you do that, and then if you do it for long enough, your mind kind of begins going back into a state of homeostasis.
If you were working and you were just, typing away in an Excel spreadsheet and all of a sudden your mind went over there, bring it back and say, no, I'm not going to think about that right now. I'm going to focus on what I'm doing. I find that sometimes it's helpful to talk out loud, talk myself through it in order to stay more grounded. If my mind starts wandering, like when I'm cooking, I will just start kind of narrating exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing it.
For example, if you were raped and they keep bringing up your multiple times a day, weeks, months, or 7 years. Yeah, and whenever you hear that word, you kind of start thinking about it and the memory keeps popping up. That's hard.
Now, that doesn't work perfectly if you're in an office with a bunch of people. But if you're at home, if you're laying in bed, if you're at the gym, well, maybe not at the gym, there are a lot of times you can narrate, out loud, and that really helps keep you focused and grounded.
It's your personal content, yeah.
If that thought
keeps
coming back, ask yourself, what's the benefit?
It was hard, yeah.
On this thought, what is the benefit for me to keep worrying about this? Is worrying going to change it? Is worrying going to help anything? And the answer is 99 times out of 100.
It's going to be no.
No. Worry doesn't do anything. Worry and anxiety are feelings you have that are supposed to motivate you to do something.
Exactly.
Not just sit there and nurture the feeling.
Yeah. That's true.
Which takes us to our next step. Once you decide that there's probably no benefit to ruminating on it, to worrying about it, or stewing on it, ask yourself, is there anything I can do to address this thought and improve this issue at this moment? If you're waiting on test results or worried about a loved one, for example, the answer is probably no. It's just a matter of you have to wait. You have to be patient.
Yeah.
And that can be really agonizing at times. I get that. However, also recognizing that worrying is going to, impair your sleep. It's going to impair your immunity. It's going to, have negative effects. It's important to give yourself permission to not have to continue to revisit that. Some people find it helpful to write down their worries. If they get it out on paper, then they're not concerned that they're going to forget about it for some reason. So write it down and put it into your thought box. Some people will call it a God box. Some people will call it a universe box. Whatever it is, you take this worry, this intrusive thought that you're having, you write it down, and you put it away. You put it on a shelf. And that's actually physically giving you the experience of shelving that thought for a moment. You can come back to it whenever you want. It's not going anywhere. But you're shelving it for the moment.
Taming monkey.
Don't get discouraged. It takes time to develop this skill, especially if you are a person who does ruminate a lot, who does worry a lot. Start small. If you have an intrusive thought, try some of these techniques and try to get to the point where you can stop having the thought for 5 minutes. And then once you can do that pretty easily, then 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It sounds
okay, I need a
like
little
not a big deal.
What?
Get to the point where you can stop having a thought, try some of these techniques and try to get to the point where you can stop having the thought for 5 minutes.
Oh.
And then once you can do that pretty easily, then 10 minutes. It sounds like not a big deal, but it can be, especially if it's something that you are really concerned about.
Totally.
It can be hard to even go 5 minutes. So set yourself up for success.
Just stop
taking
stopping.
small steps towards learning how to tame that monkey mind.
Yeah.
I can give you the other example,
Monkey mind.
and it's not, a monkey, but if you've ever tried to train a dog to do the basic commands, at first, if you can get your puppy to sit and just, sit and hold it for about a second and a half, oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, for
And
real.
then you want to get it to where the puppy will sit for 3 seconds, and then 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And then eventually you want the puppy to be able and willing to sit until it comes when it's called. That's exactly what we want to do when we tame our monkey mind.
Yeah.
We want to get to the point where we can prevent it from getting up and jumping into our brain right away. I hope this skill ends up being helpful for you. It certainly helps a lot of people reduce their distress
Wow.
and improve their productivity once they get the hang of it. But
This
be
is good.
patient with yourself.
Wow, this is good.
All you wanted was to add a column
Okay,
while planning
so-
your next sprint. Maybe it's time to move to Monday.
We spent half of the stream fighting the copyright. And I guess so it's kind of late. I want to start live streaming every night, but today I went to Walmart and I hung out with my mom for a little bit. So this is gonna be the end of today's stream. Right now I'm about to put out a new video about gang stalking, and I just have to push a button and it's gonna be published. Okay, so if you want more content for today, please check that out. It's gonna be up. It's already uploaded. It's gonna be like the push of a button for it to come up. So we are done with today's stream. Sorry about the whole copyright. I guess I cannot do that. I have to find out how if I can make streams and not get copywritten, then I just have to find out how to do it. So I want to thank Chap for being here. I'm heading to bed and I'm gonna brush my teeth and everything. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I love you, and if you guys are up tomorrow, we're doing shoulders tomorrow, only shoulders. All right. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Thank you so much for being here.